I think the first time that I watched it, I was in high school. Um, it had just come out on video because DVDs did not exist when I was in high school. Let me tell you a time about the VHS. It was black cassette tape. You put it into it was a video cassette recorder, but it also played. You put it in, you'd have to. But they say be kind and rewind, but I never did because I'm not kind. No, it was yeah, it was. I was watching him with my high school theater troupe, and we were like, this is, everybody started just doing lines from it is the day of the show, y'all. Like it was just people would just walk around doing that anytime there. It wouldn't be like, oh, it's opening night. It was like anytime there was a show, he would just walk around and go, it is the day of the show, y'all. And that was it. Or you do I had a friend who had the DQ monologue memorized. Just come in, get a Coke, get a Coke if you're thirsty, get a Coke. So
brilliant.
Yeah, no, I watched all of this and immediately like knew most of it, and then as I got further and further, I was like, oh, that's in reference to that. That's in reference. Just the moment where they're all rehearsing, but they're building the set around them. Like was like. I haven't been in a panic that much. But there have been a lot of times where we're like, okay, this is the week of the show, and the director, because they're crazy and have too much power, has decided, I don't like the staircase there. I want the staircase there. So we only have 2 days until the show opens. Come in, take the staircase out, move it around, rotate it, and put it over there while we're rehearsing a number in the front. So yeah.
So we can, let's dive into the review of what this is, because the other part of this that is so fun is like, why would you make a documentary about this, which tends to be like a reoccurring Christopher Guest thing, which I love about his work, is that this is just a community theater play. It takes place in Blaine, Missouri. It is the 150th year anniversary of the town, and so there is an original production being crafted here as a part of that celebration. The town takes it extremely seriously. The opening shot is them with like a model of the town moving things around. There's a big discussion about the porta potties of the town and how there's a lot of seniors on the parade route. And then a guy comes in and starts talking about like the security they're going to need and where they should place snipers and all these things, like very, very, very seriously taken here. We learn about the history of Blaine, which is inconsequential and beautiful.
Yep.
Blaine, Missouri was founded by the great Blaine Fabin, who was supposed to lead a group of about 30 settlers from Philadelphia to California. And they settled on their way in Blaine because they had reached a town. They had set up a tent overnight. They were sitting in camp, and he said, do you smell the taste of salt water? We must have reached California. But really, they had obviously just reached the river. And there's even a line in there about how Blaine was able to convince them for a little bit that it was just low tide, but they soon realized that they had not reached California, but they loved Blaine. They wanted to stick around. They weren't upset by it. And we learn about the big show that's going to be put on through a direct descendant of Blaine Fabin, his great-great-great-great-granddaughter or whatever. She tells us about the show that's happening. She's never even really left Blaine. Proud descendant of this guy who made a mistake and they settled here. It's just like a really fun thing. But we then meet Corky St. Clair, who this was just like, one of my favorite things about this is like, I've met this guy. I've met all of these guys in my small town where I grew up in Binghamton, New York. But Corky St. Clair is one of these New York types. He moved from New York to Blaine. He thought when he moved from New York, he was going to leave this life behind him. He had been a working choreographer there. He had been a working actor there. He thought he was going to be in construction and have one of those sweeping hats, just very, very fun thing. But darn it, if the acting life didn't pull him back in, he became a high school drama teacher, and then he founded the Blaine Community Players. And it's here where we meet Ron and Sheila, who are Fred Willard and Catherine O'Hara, who are just the most hysterical community theater couple. They have day jobs as the travel agents, but they are like the community theater veterans, almost auditioning as a formality at this point. Just the chemistry between the two of them is so unbelievable. And you see the same actors, by the way, popping up in kind of this whole lineage of Christopher Guest movies, to them being two of them. Just the most crackerjack energy between them that I don't think you couldn't ask for, like a better interactions between two people on screen. We found out that they've never even left Blaine, except that Ron did for a minor surgery. I'm not gonna spoil that. It's too good. It's too good. And we meet who ends up being my favorite. You kind of referenced her a couple times. Libby, who is played by one of the most underrated comedic actors I think ever. Parker Posey, who's just unbelievable in this. She's just a young woman who works at the Dairy Queen. Alex referenced the monologue of working at the DQ for 7-8 months. She takes you through her role at the DQ, her innovations for desserts there. Have to see it to experience it. But they're so accessible. As is Dr. Alan Pearl. He is a doctor in the town. He is the rookie of the group here. It's played by Eugene Levy. We also meet his wife, who she's a side character here, but her consistent reference to creative types like has never not made me laugh. And I've watched this movie a million times. Like, I think with these creative types, because there is like this weird thing, at least where I grew up, of like, even at this level, they operate in this way that is so completely inaccessible that like I can't even understand. And meanwhile, it's like her husband is a doctor, who is a generational talent. We find out his grandfather was very big in the Yiddish theater, known for the hit Bubby Made a Kishka. But those are kind of the main focal points of our mockumentary here. Corky and this cast. We're going to meet Johnny Swinger in a little bit and a lot of these other side characters. But I just loved how accessible everybody was. I have done community theater with all of these types of people. All of these people feel very real to me. There's probably a little bit of Kate in Libby at some points. Like it's so tangible if you've been in theater. It's just an absolute blast.
RESPECT. Click the subscribe button and find out what it means to me. Nah, that doesn't have a ring to it. But if you like videos about real news stories that are funny, stupid, or weird, subscribe now.